All right, everybody, welcome to Tesla Today. So for this show, we're going to talk about all the things that Tesla is doing really, really well, hitting it out of the park, and a couple things that they're not doing as well. So first of all, when you step back and think about it, the stats have come back, and Tesla China is hitting it out of the park. They just hit 84,000 car registrations in the month of August. In Europe, there's already more Tesla registrations at this point compared to even just all of last year. We just saw a very successful launch of the Model 3 Highland. We're going to share with you some of the salespeople's reaction to that and what they're seeing in terms of numbers. The Cybertruck is real. The Megapack is now factory in China, has been launched or about to be launched shortly. And we're going to talk about other things as well. So today we've got Larry Goldberg with us. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's been CEO of several companies. He's written a book. And he's a big Tesla bull, and I've had him on several times. Thank you for joining me again, Larry.
Hi, Herbert. It's great to be here.
And where are you right now? Because you are traveling. You did a big road trip. Where are you headed?
I'm in Austin, Texas. I set off from home in North Carolina about a week ago. I've been to see the lithium plant on my way to Starbase. I was at Starbase to see what has to be some of the most exciting things that are happening in this century to date. And now I'm in Austin, the home of Giga Texas, the home of Tesla, and meeting some really good people and seeing some very exciting things.
Okay, fantastic. Well, hopefully I'll be able to come out there and visit with you someday. But let's go through all the things that are happening. Lots of good news to share. Let's start with this, which is a wonderful tweet from JP Sartre. I just chatted with him, and we both had the exact same thoughts. And the funny thing is, you also DM me something very similar to this. So when you step back and think about all things that are happening for for Tesla right now, it's actually pretty good news. So first of all, we're going to talk about each one of these. There's news that came out that there's 84,000 cars in China last month in August, which is quite a successful month. And there's no Osborning. Everybody thought that maybe they were going to sell less because people are waiting for the Model 3 Highland. There was a launch of the Highland. We're going to show a video of a salesperson saying that it's 10 times the foot traffic they're seeing in the stores. The Cybertruck is happening. It's really launching. We're seeing it, and we know it's happening. And then there's news that in China, the Megapack factory there is about to launch next month. And then you've got a lot to talk about: energy, services, and supercharging. So just in high level, Larry, can you tell me what you're thinking about these events and what's been happening for Tesla?
Yeah, it's clear China is really, firing on all cylinders. It's pretty amazing to see that, and the fact that they've been able to do this when faced with, changing over the production line to Highland, it's quite remarkable. This week was slightly lower sales. I think we saw like 10 point something thousand, which is fully understandable as they, roll out the Highland. I think nonetheless we're going to see a record this year, this quarter, without doubt, in China. And the Megapack factory, China will have that factory up in China time. It's just amazing how they managed to do these things. And we're going to see real revenue come from that, as we're seeing right now from, the Megapack factory here. So, yeah, things are firing on a lot of good things are happening, and we're going to see that fall to the bottom line shortly. The most exciting thing, of course, is Cybertruck launch, and I can't begin to express how important that is. I was having breakfast this morning with an influencer who thinks that we're going to see, upward of 15,000 Cybertrucks produced, more than 15,000 Cybertrucks produced and sold this year. I think that's quite a reach. I don't even want to tell you what he said he thinks it will total, but I took the under on his bet. But I mean, it's going to be an enormous fillip to revenue and profit. So yeah, firing on all cylinders.
Okay, yeah, no, fantastic. Yeah, the Cybertruck, if we talk about it a little bit, that is very, very optimistic. we've seen so many sightings. I mean, every single day, 4 here, 10 here, they're being driven everywhere. So they're definitely producing this. It's very likely they're going to have the delivery event. That's almost a certainty. The question is, how fast can they scale this? And just by judging from Elon's comments and the leaked email that came out about precision, he wants to be able to stamp this out like a toy car, just stamp it out and make it go so much faster. But they can't do that until it's absolutely perfect. So, and then he talked about the 10,000 parts required. And these are all new parts, new supply chain, new vendors that they're working with. So I still do think that we can't be too optimistic that it's going to be 15,000 this year. It's probably going to be taking longer for 6 months. But once it gets going, it's going to be a record. There won't be a single vehicle in the history of the world that's ever produced this fast, this many. And it was designed for manufacturing, right? What's your thinking about the Cybertruck?
Munro did this morning. There was a video out from Munro showing the front of the Cybertruck with the front removed, the front top removed, and we could see some of the component parts, and they were doing an assessment of it. Look, the truck is designed for high volume output. People have been talking about a production line of only 250,000 trucks a year. I have to think that they're going to shoot for much higher. I have to think that. And I think the limiting factor may be just how many castings that they can make from that casting machine. So whether they'll put in a second casting machine, whether we've underestimated the number, I don't know. But I would be very disappointed if we get less than 250,000 next year, which, it's like $17 billion of revenue. And, the potential to do 500,000 is there. I think that the market is certainly there, in my judgment. And that's, 35 billion of revenue at 500,000. So it's going to be a huge impact on the bottom line because the operating leverage is so high. So it's pretty exciting.
Okay. Agreed. Cybertruck is a big mover. We all know that. So here's let's talk about the sales in China.
Yeah.
So this came out just yesterday that China August sales are up 31%. Since compared to the month before, with over 80,000 units sold. This came from the China Passenger Car Association, 84,109 vehicles in August. This increased 30% compared to July. And then if you think about January to August, we're now in Q1, we got 422,000 and delivered 466,000 in second quarter. So for half of the year, 889. That's amazing. So and then here's stats for Europe that came out this morning, and Sawyer shared this, which is the registrations in Europe already, which is the red line here, is already higher than of all of 2022. So just by September, we're already higher than all of 2022. So this is certainly, look at this line. I mean, it's just a hockey stick up compared to the other years. What's your thoughts in terms of registrations and sales of Tesla? I think what's happening personally is, despite the fact that there's economy issues in both China and the US and high interest rates here and deflation in China,
and Europe,
the incentives and the movement to EVs is just so strong that it just overpowers those issues. And that's what's driving this. And the reason I say that is we pointed out in yesterday's show with Jeff Lutz that BYD, while Tesla is doing incredible well in August, so is BYD. They're like 250,000 sales in China as well. So they are just skyrocketing regardless of the deflation issues in China. What's your thoughts there?
So, well, the sales in Europe are a clear indication because Europe is in terrible financial difficulties right now. I mean, if we think we're struggling, the European economy is really hurting. And if you look at the sales of Tesla in Europe, it's just stunning. And, these other automotive companies, these other OEMs are really hurting. So Tesla's doing incredibly well in an economy that's really tough. Haven't got a refresh 3 yet, and yet this Model Y is just blowing everything away. All these Tesla killers are just, falling by the wayside. So that Model Y is a monster car. And even though it may not be the perfect car for Europe, it may not be, and we heard all these negatives about why it wouldn't work in Europe and so on and so forth. It's blowing them away. And, the margins in Europe are really good now. I mean, they are really good. If you take, production from China and production from a Giga Berlin, the margins are fantastic. So I think that's going to be pretty good. You mentioned BYD as a competitor to Tesla in China. I'll tell you something very interesting. BYD had this monster quarter last quarter, we were told. You know what their profit was for the quarter?
No, you tell me. I know. Depends on what you're saying, though. Operating margin, or you're talking about
bottom line,
auto gross margin?
Bottom line profit.
Operating margin. I thought that they're a lot higher than Tesla's. I mean, operating margin. Yeah.
They claim their operating margin is 17%, which is roughly what Tesla is, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The bottom line at BYD, profit before tax, $500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla earns almost that much, maybe 300 million, 250, 300 million, half that much, on interest on their cash alone. Now, I don't know what they spend. They claim a 17% margin on sales. So what are they spending 15.5% of their revenue on between their gross margin and their bottom line? Will somebody explain this to me? Somebody's more intelligent than I am can understand it.
Yeah, the only thing is that obviously BYD is not just a car company like Tesla is not a car company.
No, it's now just a car company. So they've split off all the other stuff. They're just a car company.
Okay.
BYD is very difficult to understand. And, they publish one set of numbers, one quarter. And so bottom line is, if you look at the car company earned, they say, a gross margin of 17%.
Right.
But their bottom line margin was close to zero, as near to zero as makes no difference. It's a rounding error on their revenue.
Yeah.
So Tesla,
we know that the auto gross margin is like $1,000 a car or something like that. So yeah, they're not making tons of money, and these are low end cars. And yeah, okay. No, I didn't say that they're a competitor. Obviously, in some cases they are, but they're just an indicator of sales of high asset vehicles in China, despite the deflation. If you look at both, they went up. Okay, so just to repeat this chart that we saw from Tesla registration in Europe, I wanted to give the credit here. Troy Teslak points out that this actually came from a Tesla Motors Club TMC project that he was involved in as well. Each country in Europe releases its own registration numbers. Somebody had to put them all together, and a few volunteers, including him, did this, and so they've been doing this since 2015. So great, thank you for that chart, which is wonderful. So next up is the Model 3 Highland. I want to get your opinion on this. I love the look. I think that it's fantastic. It's hit that out of the park, that it looks so sporty. And early signs are showing that this is it's going to be a major hit. So this is a salesperson for Tesla in China said recent daily order volume of the new Model 3 is more than 10 times of normal daily order volume. I'm going to play the clip, but I won't play all of it because we don't speak Chinese, and so let's just listen.
车上了之后，咱们订单怎么样？当天？
这个嘛是我们公司的秘密，这个是不能暴露的。但是可以告诉大家的是，比我们平日日常的订单的话，增加了就是单日的。
Okay, so I'm not going to have to play the whole thing, but basically you get the gist. She's very excited. Things are going really well, and 10 times normal daily volume. So what's your opinion on the new Model 3 Highland? Were you shocked that they actually priced it higher, most people are thinking that they might actually cut the price and have it lower.
Well, Tesla's pricing policies are a mystery to me, as I'm sure they are to you. They're a mystery to most of us. I have to say that car is a beautiful car. I think that there are a lot of people going to want that car. Some people were saying there's so many Teslas around, nobody wants to drive a Tesla because everybody wants to drive a car that looks different. Well, here we have a different looking car. It's a beautiful car. I can see a lot of people wanting it. Sedans are not supposed to be big sellers anymore, but the Model 3 has done incredibly well. I only wish Tesla had the ability to refresh their models a little bit more quickly than they're doing up to now. They don't. The average OEM has multiple dozens of cars. Tesla has 4, and soon to be 5, which means that every time Tesla has a refresh, it has a much higher impact on their revenue and their bottom line profits than it would have for another OEM. We almost don't see the impact of refreshes with other OEMs, so it's a more critical situation. But I think this car is going to sell extremely well. People like sedans; they like driving sedans. It's true that the SUVs or crossovers taken over the market. And so there's a dearth of really good sedans. So I think the car's going to do extremely well. And clearly it's raised, eyebrows in China. So what's going to happen this coming quarter with the Model 3 locally? They're going to have to, be very price sensitive to get those cars to move. So, but I like that car. I know I'm going to refresh my Model 3.
Okay, I'm just looking for a chart that I did. Hold on. I can't find the chart I did. But so, I've been trying to report this quite a bit. Brian White and I did a long video on this, that the SUV market is massive. The pickup is 50% here in the US. And globally, the SUV is 40% of all global cars being sold as an SUV. Sedans, though, is the second largest market segmentation at 20%. And that's way higher than pickup trucks. And so if it's like some people are going, we should not even bother doing Model 3 anymore. You got the compact car, you got the Model Y, don't do the Model 3 anymore. And I'm like, why do the truck? Because it's so little. They're being confused with the US market, which is 50% is light duty trucks. Absolutely big market here. But globally, sedans are big. And so this is very critical, the Model 3 Highland. They made it sportier. I'm shocked that they kept the price high. If they lowered the price and sportier, this is just going to go through the roof. I think it's still going to go through the roof. People are underestimating how big of a market sedans are, Corollas and Camrys and so forth. So, this is a big deal. We're going
to see the price come down over time. Yep. I think, the early bird catches the worm. It's going to be more expensive at the outset. It's going to come down over time. There's going to be, I think there's going to be this rolling release of it, in the UK, in the US, and then in Europe. And, the price will remain high until mid of next year, and then perhaps there will be successive drops. That's what I'm thinking. It looks like, Tesla's using price in a very, very, tactical way rather than a strategic way, I think. And so I think we're going to see the price leaven down over time.
Yep, I agreed. And that's going to be crazy. Okay, so next news here is we've got, so news is construction on Tesla's new Megapack factory in Shanghai is expected to start this month. And it's as we know, as you said, this is China time. When they build this thing, I keep reminding people that this Megapack factories is a lot less. They're not like the Gigafactories. These things are the size of a Target retail store. and it should take less than 9 months. It's not as difficult as it is to build these cars. This is just the battery part of it. And then, so when fully ramped, Tesla could generate upwards of 50 billion in revenue annually between both of these. You and I have discussed. You've shared lots of your thoughts on Megapack Factory. So tell me more about Megapacks and what your thoughts are when you heard this.
So, it took a while for the Lathrop factory to get to full production. I believe they're probably approaching full production. China will take less time. We've learned that. We've learned China time is a whole different ball game. I think that by mid of next year, we're going to be at that 50 billion revenue run rate. What's interesting though is, traveling through Texas as I did the last couple of days, the scale, of wind power and solar is just staggering. And in China, apparently, it's even greater. So, to see the physical manifestation of this transfer from, oil power, gas power to solar and wind is incredible. And it's going to need batteries, a lot of batteries. So this is definitely rapidly going to become, a very big line of business for Tesla. And people who don't, the energy revenue and earnings of Tesla have hardly got Wall Street's attention. And for the first time, they're beginning to talk about it. Certainly, those that are really in the know are talking about it. But in general, analysts do not reckon it in their medium to long term and estimates. So we're going to see that change. We're going to see that change dramatically in the coming year. By the end of next year, that line of business is going to get as much focus as the auto part of the business. So we're going to see that emerge, as a second business. Now we know there's a third business and a fourth business to come at Tesla. We know that. We know that FSD is coming, and we know that the robot is coming. That's for us. We poorly informed, ignorant retail investors understand that. The analysts, the brilliant analysts, they discount that 100%. Well, that's the margin for us. That's the margin for us. So, we spoke about energy a year, 2 years, 3 years ago. Now it's going to be manifest.
Hey there, thank you for joining me. If you can, please consider supporting this channel so I can keep it going. It's a lot of work arranging all these amazing interviews. One of the easiest ways is just to click that join button and become a member of the channel. Thank you very much. Let's get brighter. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, so the thing about Tesla is that because we are retail investors, we watch this daily like a hawk. We think that things are delayed, and sometimes they are. So I want to ask you that question shortly. About what is Tesla doing right? What's your scorecard for Tesla in terms of speed and accomplishment and delivery? But let's point out one thing that certainly has been delayed appears is the Giga Mexico. So just one example of a negative thing. We've been waiting for this. We were all excited for the Giga Mexico. We thought that when they chose Giga Mexico that they had already had the relationships with the government, and yet here we are. 2 months, I think it was supposed to be in June, and now September, and yet we still haven't had the groundbreaking. We're so close. We keep hearing from the governor of Giga Mexico that it's all the permits are already laid out and just a matter of signing now, and yet here's a month later. So the news is Tesla's still waiting for permit approval before it can start construction of Giga Mexico, according to Forbes Mexico. This is the article written there. And so it's, the document is a request for change of land use for 642-acre site, needs approval from the environmental ministry. Sounds like Germany all over again. Tesla estimates the duration of the construction will be 36 months. A period that includes all the works to be carried out. This does not mean it will take 36 months for production, though. But yeah.
It actually, in a way, it's worse than Germany.
What?
Germany, the process is transparent and the process is known. It happens to be a very long and very difficult process, but it's known. In Mexico, it looks like it's not even known. I mean, maybe Tesla just gets done and says, no, we're moving to India. Mexico has to, they better focus. Because, there's a guy that runs Tesla, at the head of Tesla, he's famously impatient. So my message, look, I'm serious. My message to Mexico is, guys, you better move because, at this point, I don't know that they've actually paid for the property. I don't know that they bought the property, but this is not a good start. This is really not a good. I was supposed to go to Mexico to see this property. I was at Starbase. It would have been a quick ride. I just looked at the situation. I thought to myself,
there's nothing there.
There's nothing. There's nothing. And when I planned this trip 3-4 months ago, I thought for sure ground's broken, blah, blah, blah. There's nothing. So
yeah, I have an audience member who's been who works and lives nearby, and he's been sending me messages and showing me videos of the place. And at one point, there was rumor that the Mexico TV actually reported that there's actually construction material, construction vehicles seen at the land. He's never seen it. He drove around, showed video. There's nothing there, unfortunately. But I think we've also reported that there's well over 25 vendors, supply chain partners of Tesla that has set up shop, has invested significantly near and Mexico. We've heard that Tesla has spoken to its Chinese manufacturers, and they want them to move to be locally in Mexico as well. So yeah,
all
I
in
just
print,
can't imagine.
all in print, but what's on the ground? Who has seen what's on the ground? Who has seen who's paid? I mean, I'm a great skeptic of this. I really am. And I was voicing my concern 2 months ago, and people said, no.
Interesting.
I'm not comfortable with what's happening.
That's the dichotomy of Larry Goldberg. I've learned a lot about you. You're very, 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 very conservative, very negative about the very short term. And then you become incredibly bullish, more bullish than anybody else when it comes to what's going to actually happen.
But this is not a matter of bearish or bullish. This is a matter of, we have to be realistic. Mm-hmm. So, we need a new factory. We need a new factory in Mexico, or if we're going to have to wait another year and a half,
we better
maybe
hurry.
2 years, maybe we have to move on.
Yeah, the compact car is too big of a product and too big of a market, and the timing is so critical that it has to come out that you cannot, like you said, right? You have to invest your time and effort.
I have a question for you. If the labor component of the car is so low, having to do with the new automation and the new manufacturing principles, why is it so critical that it be in Mexico?
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. So I've been playing this clip from Tom Jew. And he had said I think it was Shareholder Day, and he was on the stage, and he had said that with Giga Mexico, he expects 10,000 employees and 5,000 bots. And then they're going to do the new unbox model. And so you're right. Right. Why does it have to be Mexico, which is famously known for lower waged employees?
And really excellent employees, by the way. And I have colleagues who have actually manufactured in Mexico, and they speak very highly of the quality of labor in Mexico. So there's that.
I assumed that there's several reasons. The one reason is that because it's in North America, there's the NAFTA free trade agreement that's already in place. I also assumed that the government, they wooed Tesla there, and I thought that they were going to say, "Hey, you know what? We got in the bag. We'll just grease it out and make it happen." Not all these. They chose Mexico because of less red tape, and yet I don't understand why this is still
Mexico is not one government.
Right.
So, there are a lot of wheels to be greased.
Right. I understand they're set up like 50 states, like just like the US. There's states, and then each of the states were combined, fighting each other. Okay, well, gosh, Larry, I'm not ready to abandon Mexico, but you're getting me scared. Okay.
I'm not here to give you a happy talk, but sorry.
Okay. Well, give me your scorecard for Tesla, right? There's some people who are very down with Tesla. They think that everything's delayed, things haven't happened. Oh, stop telling me about FSD. Don't even talk about the bot. That's nowhere near. And then, of course, they're very concerned about the car sales, the price cuts. What's your opinion overall? So we just covered some things that look like they're good news and some things here that was not so good news. What's your scorecard so far?
I'm accumulating Tesla stock right now. I think we're in a really good period for buying because there's this lull, there's this kind of doubt about this and about that, and so I think this is a rather excellent period. I see a tremendous cycle coming. 2025, 2026 are going to be, blowout years. 1.8 million cars this year is not a bad number. We're still way above the 50% per annum based upon the original 500,000 back in, 2019 was it? So we're cooking on gas. We've got a lot of stuff in the oven and it's going extremely well. So I'm a buyer. I'm very, very bullish. Yeah, we got problems at Mexico. Yeah, we got, these refreshes, blah, 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 blah. This is normal business. I am very, very bullish right now. And, I've been a holder of Tesla since it was 2016, 2017. And now I'm going to start accumulating more.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, and I think I've been personally trying to understand the psychology of myself and people in general. Where, the good example is FSD, right? When you've got Elon saying that FSD is coming this year for 5 years, let's. I think from 2018 for the first 2-3 years, he was actually referring to the highway. The highway
navigate on
autopilot, yeah, and that's what he was saying. And then he did say, a million robotaxis in the, by the end of this year. So then people get very upset because it doesn't come. I get that, but there's a psychology where because things haven't happened, you then kind of forward it out and say, well, it won't happen. Whereas I'm like the opposite. If it hasn't happened for another year, we're that much closer for it to finally happen this year. You know what I mean? Like if I objectively, and if I stand here versus where I was a year ago, how much more likely are we to actually accomplish this new thing? And we're closer because it's been a year. There's all these new advancements. All these things are happening. So, you know what I mean? Like you have to think about where eventually these things will happen, because we have seen Tesla time and time again, right? We're the experts in taking something that's impossible to making it late. At some point, it does happen.
Look, Elon Musk is the expert of turning the impossible into the late. I mean, he is the expert. He's done it on so many impossible tasks. He's achieved it. I think we're getting there. I see a path. I see the path. It's very clear to me. I think the current FSD is struggling. I see the evolution, the architectural evolution, step by step by step. I see each architectural evolution improving dramatically what was previously. And the evolution that they're going to now, I think, will break a lot of the dams that have built up. Whether that's the final architectural evolution or not is an open question. We'll soon see, or hopefully soon see. So I'm very bullish on FSD. FSD will truly predicate the success of the bot, which will be a huge market. As far as Tesla Automotive is concerned, and as far as Tesla Energy is concerned, I think there's very good path to world domination for those sets of products. These are very big markets, so I can't see a better stock on the market than Tesla right now. And for the first time in 2 years, I'm starting to accumulate again because it's a huge part of my portfolio, bigger than it should be by far. And I'm breaking a lot of principles by investing further in it. But I just don't see an alternative.
Nice. I like that, Larry. So another topic, the final one, you had said to me that you're thinking about something about products that Tesla might have
Supercharging
in the next quarter.
Okay. I am fascinated by the supercharging network. I posted that long thread about the profitability of the supercharging network. And my gosh, I only traveled last April, this year, on this route and to Boca Chica, to Starbase. And now I'm heading out to Los Angeles, but I'm blown away at the growth of the supercharging network just in this time. It's exploding in terms of capacity. And that's before they got, the grants. So, it's just amazing how it's grown. But I think it can need a lot of support. The big difference between supercharging and filling your car with gas is you have to fill your car with gas almost every other day. It's a chore. You drive to the service station, you stand there and you fill the tank up. Then you put the thing away and you get them away as fast as possible. The supercharging network is different. You're not doing it on a daily basis unless you live in an apartment that can't charge. But generally, it's a road trip. So it's a whole different culture. And right now, the superchargers are stuck, in the parking lot of a mall or the parking lot of a gas station. Not a lot of services around there. They're not, the ground around there not tended, and you generally have to spend between 10 and 30 minutes at the supercharger station every couple of hours. So what do you want? You want to be served good food. You don't have to walk across, stinkingly hot parking lot to some place that you haven't chosen to eat at, and which is frankly terrible. So there's a lot of opportunity to improve the services and offer the service. Now, Tesla does have a lot of fun stuff planned. They have a swimming pool at one supercharging station in Germany. I saw that. They have a really nice restaurant they're building in downtown Los Angeles. But the average supercharging station you come across does not have the kinds of stuff that I would like to see. So I'm really giving a lot of thought to what the opportunities are and how to address those. And, whether Tesla does it or some other agency does it, I'd love to see the experience, the road experience enhanced around that whole supercharging experience. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes sense. Yeah, there could be tremendous new revenue streams. We haven't even talked about, I just did a video with Søren Basher. I did amazing modeling of robotaxi and bots. He thought about a lot of different assumptions. You can choose your own assumptions, but there's other revenue streams that we haven't even thought about, like entertainment. Somebody needs to sit down and price this out. And so here's another example: is entertainment for, or restaurants for the Supercharger network, other services. Yeah, this could be pretty significant revenue. Is it worth it? That time and effort, all that.
Not necessarily
Yeah.
for Tesla, but there may be. One thing I have to say, I did an analysis of the profitability around the Tesla network, and I figured out ultimately it's worth about $3 a share. Just a few weeks later, Morgan Stanley came up with the same numbers. Now, whether they had read my material or not, I don't know. But $3 a share ain't bupkis, baby. It's real money, and it's probably justifies almost 80%, almost 30% of the current share price. So it's the supercharging network is really a strategic and tactical value, very high value.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Larry. That was a lot of fun. Folks, follow Larry on Twitter at Larry Goldberg.
No, at Tesla Larry.
Oh, Tesla Larry. That's right. I forgot. Tesla Larry. Thank you so much, Larry.
Thanks, Herbert.